Hey guys, Derek and
Paula here.
from Back to Reality. And right now is the beginning of the Easter long weekend, so we figured we'd take advantage of the extra time off and start working on building some of the gardens that we didn't have time for in the fall. But we also thought it would be a good opportunity, now that it's finally spring, to actually take a look at some of those gardens we built last year and see how they fared over the winter. And we thought you might be interested in it as well. So come on. So here's our Hugelkultur mounds. They look pretty much the same as they did whenever we left them.
Looks like something's been digging.
Oh yeah. Gonna get at some of our corn stalks that we chopped off. Yeah, a bunch of spots where they've been digging. I wonder if something was digging in here to try and make a little home underneath the hay, or if somebody was digging to try and find some food under there, like a deer or something. I don't see any tracks on the ground here.
So we've got some cleanup to do.
Yeah, we do. That's right. So these piles of rocks here are left over from whenever we had the little backhoe here digging out some of these holes for these two Hugelkultur mounds. So we've got another pile over there as well. So we've got to clean up some of those. We'll do that shortly.
Look at this.
Oh yeah. So here's the Ruth Stout mounds that we put in, the two of them. And the hay's still there. Like, you can definitely see the rectangles that we put in, but it is so flat.
It is flat.
The snow weighted it down over the winter.
It's really, so it's supposed to have like soil and stuff underneath now, eh?
Well, hopefully it started to break down some of the grass that's under there, yeah.
It's definitely wet.
It is, it's moist.
Yeah.
So that is still some grass I just kind of picked up, but it's definitely, there's definitely a lot of soil under there. We'll see. I'm not sure, like, over the winter, the idea was that a lot of this would break down a bit, but I think probably now that it's getting warmer out, it'll probably speed up that action, because things don't compost super well whenever it's really cold out. I guess we'll find out what happens once all of the grass starts to grow back, if any of the grass actually starts to grow up through this hay or not. But that's part of the experiment, so that's what we're trying to figure out. So we'll be able to let you know. So
should we be putting more hay on?
Yeah, absolutely. Now that it's spring, we should be putting another layer on. I believe what you normally do with this sort of thing is you put a mulch down in the fall, and then you put mulch down again in the spring before you plant. So right now is a great time, so we might as well do that today as well while we're out here.
Okay. Want to check out the garlic?
Yeah, let's check that out. Well, it looks like the mounds that we built are still here. All the hay stayed. A lot of people were asking us how we were expecting the hay to stick around, and the theory was that all of the hay would just kind of tie itself into knots and make like a blanket, basically, that just stayed in one spot. And it seems as though it did. And we've certainly had a ton of crazy wind over the last month or so since the snow's been melting and coming back, and it hasn't blown around much. You can see little bits of hay that have kind of fallen off, but I bet you a lot of that happened whenever we were first building it.
Mm-hmm.
So things are looking pretty good. I noticed over here in between the mounds, you can see some of the cardboard that we had laid down is still intact. So obviously, it's rotting pretty good on the inside. But this stuff that was exposed to the sunlight, it hasn't broken down as much as I would have hoped. So hopefully underneath all of these mounds, the cardboard's breaking down enough that once the garlic starts to put in some big roots, that it'll actually be able to get through it. But once again, part of the experiment, so we'll find out. This whole thing we kind of just made it up as we went, so we'll see what happens soon. But over here, if you remember, whenever we first put the garlic in, all of these mounds, we put in some compost and stuff and actually put the garlic cloves down into it. Whereas right here, we did one row where we just threw the garlic on top and then put the hay over top. So we checked it out, a couple months ago, whenever we got a little bit of a thaw, and it looked like some of the garlic had actually dropped in some roots. But let's take another look now that it's been a little bit longer and we've actually got some warmer weather. So we'll just pull some of this aside, see if we can find one. Oh, there's one right there. Look at that. Now, again, we probably shouldn't be pulling this back in order to, get the best growth out of the garlic as possible, but it's pretty interesting. So right now, there's actually a little green shoot coming out of it. And again, the roots have sent themselves down into the compost. So this garlic survived the winter and is actually growing. So that's pretty fantastic.
That's super exciting.
So I think the hope here is that the rest of these guys are going to eventually send that shoot up through the hay, and then all the other ones that are actually down inside the soil will do the same thing soon. But actually, while I'm kneeling down here, I just noticed something that's incredibly exciting, if it's what I think it is. Take a look at this right here.
Oh my gosh.
I'm pretty sure that's one of the garlic that we had actually put inside the compost is now sprouting out through the hay. I just noticed that. Oh look, here's another one over here.
That is so exciting.
Look at that, there's another one here and here. Yeah, that's gotta be the garlic.
Oh my gosh.
Because it's spaced out exactly where we put it. So that's, look at that. Our garlic is totally growing.
Let's look at the other mounds.
That's so exciting. Yeah, it is. Look, here.
Yeah.
Here. Oh yeah, tons of them popping through. Oh my goodness. Okay, that's fantastic. So that's our first success story of all of these new experiments. So the garlic is growing. Obviously we don't know if it's going to turn into a full head of garlic yet, or a full bulb, but
and if it can get through the cardboard.
Yeah, exactly. But at least we know it's growing. So this is working. Our garlic survived and we're starting to get some results from it. So that's amazing.
High five.
High five. Okay, I'll cover this one back up so that it still has a chance. But that's really interesting. So again, I'm glad we looked at this, because that means that these cloves that we didn't bury, we just buried them with hay, but we didn't actually insert them into the compost. They've only got a tiny little shoot on them like this. Whereas the ones that were actually planted down in are now already growing up and have multiple leaves on them. So there is obviously a difference between the two types of planting, but so far it looks like both of them are working, but one of them is definitely working better. So it's part of the experiment. This is fun. So this is super exciting, and it's good too, because we could use some of this positive energy, because we have a lot of work to do today. We are going to put in another one of these long gardens right here, but we're going to use a different method as another experiment. And then over here on the other side, we've got a nice big space there. If you remember from our garden layout, our plan for the garden, we've got a big chunk over there that we're going to fill in with another type of garden. So by the time we're done this, inside the fenced in area, we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4 different types of permaculture gardens happening all at once. So we should hopefully be able to get some really interesting experimental results by the end of this season. Plus, speaking about this fenced in area, we also have to finish this darn fence. So we're gonna be working on that over the next few weeks as well. So there's lots of exciting stuff coming up. So hopefully you'll stick around, because we're gonna have lots to show you.
And I got new boots.
Yeah, she's really proud of her boots.
I'm proud of my boots.
So happy Easter to those of you who are celebrating it this weekend, and for everyone else, just happy long weekend.
Yeah.
We'll see you soon.
What's that on the side of the building? The gray thing.
Gray thing?
See the gray?
Oh, that little gray thing?
Yeah.
I think it's just a little pipe bracket or something.
Oh, okay. I'm like, is that like a big worm?
A big worm?
That's like a big cocoon. I'm scared. I'm a farmer.
You're a farmer, all right. Scared of a worm.
That's huge.